Hello, my name is Technical Sergeant Leonardo Diaz-Concha. I'm the Aircrew Flight Equipment Superintendent for the 492nd Special Operations Support Squadron in Duke Field, Florida. But before I was attached to the Air Force Special Operations Command, I was the non-commissioned officer in charge of aircrew flight equipment at Eglin Air Force Base, where I worked on test and evaluation for many airframes and had many projects that impacted the way that aircrew flight equipment does business. My favorite project and my first and largest project given to me as a young staff sergeant, and that was the research, test, and development of the AC-130J. Through this forum, I will go over the team concepts, the leadership and management skills, the team diversity, and the project management concepts that were applied to make this endeavor a successful one. Initiating a project as big as the AC-130J took a lot of moving parts and pieces. So for the sake of brevity, I will only be talking about what my team and I did on the aircrew flight equipment program for this airframe. Team performance concepts that were used. The creators were like all test mission parameters, the customer. Now, the customer was the United States Special Operations Command, USSOCOM, A3 at the Air Force Special Operations Command, and A3 at the Air Force Materiel Command. It was pushed as a joint venture, closing down the combined C-130J testing facility at Wright Pat and bringing it down to Eglin to complete the initial test on the next generations of AC-130Js. It was sold as an AFSOC AFMC joint venture. I was hand-selected by default as the advancer and the liaison between the commands. Being the only experienced member of our team that had heavy aircraft experience, previously working on the C-17 airframe. My mission was to test and provide equipment and forward data up and down the chain, as well as author all technical data changes and Air Force instruction that was sent up. The timeline was 1 year for the first aircraft and 6 months for every aircraft after that. The total test was supposed to take 4 years. We made it to 4 years, but we only tested 4 aircraft. My refiner consisted of my AFE, Aircrew Flight Equipment Superintendent, as ultimately being the one who ensured that data flow was accurate, and to also ensure that the project, he was the subject matter expert and made sure that the young staff sergeant didn't mess up the big project. He was there to help me with the details and to ask the tough questions. Moreover, he helped me validate the ideas that we had with the little guidance that we had from AFSOC. My executors consisted of 2 staff sergeants with no heavy aircraft experience. First thing I needed to do was to make them proficient. If there's one thing that heavy airlift is good for, it's repetition. I had my team ready to go in about a month's time, ensuring they were as accurate and well-versed on equipment and our mission as I was. They knew what was at stake and the importance of the mission, so we chose the best people to ensure we kept with the high standards. As I stated before, I was assigned as the team leader. It's my first time in charge, and it took some learning for me to be efficient. I'll explain the leadership and management skills I used to ensure the team was successful. I place importance on my people. I'm one who thinks that the happier my people are, the harder they will work for me. I say with me because I am not above working. I believe that leaders should inspire us to find the best in us and always perform at that level. So that is me now. At the time, I had very little leadership and management skills. I was a 4-year staff sergeant going on Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. I hadn't been humbled yet, and I believed if I didn't do it, it wouldn't get done right. I was not developed yet, so I couldn't really develop and inspire my team. I wasn't self-aware of my faults. My values were to get the job done. My motivation was the next rank. My support team was at my last base, and my life balance was tipped at the scales towards work. I was not in the right place to lead well at all, and in hindsight, it was a tough first year. The mission did not fail because I would not let it fail, but my subordinates were not happy, they were not motivated, and they wanted to beat me up in all likelihood. I was tough, young, and wrong, but the mission did not fail. Looking back, I wish I had a strong-willed mentor at the time to snap me into reality, or a subordinate to remind me about what's important. At around year 3, 2015, that mentor finally came. He went over principles with me on how to adapt, how to delegate effectively, how to trust my teammates. Most importantly, he taught me how to communicate. He motivated me to work for my team instead of having them work for me. He taught me about motivation, morale, and spirit de corps. We had a small team but a diverse team. We're 3 staff sergeants and 1 civilian now. We effectively trained and used the strengths of each. Our civilian was a retired senior master sergeant. He was in charge of our training and documentation. And being a little older, he didn't like going out to the flight line, but did it when necessary. We had 1 staff sergeant that was quiet and to himself. He was a tough egg to crack. But when we did, we realized how intelligent he was. He was put in charge of data analysis and technical data publishing. Our other staff sergeant was a workhorse, loved packing parachutes and building survival kits. He was in charge of the weekly schedule and all the fabrication in the shop. Together we formed a great team. I shifted from coercive power to referent power almost instantly. Now, project management was extremely important in this test as we were building a program of record for the entire Air Force. I may not have been the best leader originally, but I was a very good project manager. I'll quickly review the parts and pieces of the project. The sponsor was AFSOC, Air Force Special Operations Command. The project manager was A3 at AFSOC and at Air Force Materiel Command, AFMC. I was the project team leader. My team consisted of 2 staff sergeants and a civilian. The stakeholders were US SOCOM and I would say the American public. As the project manager, I had established expectations or scope for my team. I had timelines to establish. I had to stay within budget, which for AFSOC is almost impossible to go over budget. So there was really no budget. So that was the easy one. And finally, I had to put out product that was good enough to adapt to the whole Air Force. At my level, I was supposed to establish guidelines to approve through Headquarters Air Force. We had 8 months before our aircraft arrived, so we spent time building plans and gathering input from AFSOC. I was a single point of reference for my teammates. Our goal was to completely outfit this aircraft with next generation equipment, to establish technical data and Air Force instruction pertaining to the mission design series, and finally to ensure that we did not slow down the timeline of one aircraft every 6 months. Our deliverables were established monthly as we were reporting directly to AFSOC headquarters in US SOCOM. I had monthly meetings where I updated our status. Our schedule and execution was in line with the mission commander's objective. The only constant that we had were directed inspection cycles. I coined the term Semper Gumby for our team, as we were always flexible with shifting timelines and mission requirements. Initially, we had monitoring and controlling from upper echelons of the headquarters, but after the first year, we were left to our own devices. We'd become efficient and garnered praise, but like with all projects, they come to an end. In June 2015, we delivered our first AC-130J to Herbert Field. Our project had come to an end on June 2019 when the Ghost Rider, as it's called now, had its first combat mission in Afghanistan. The hard work and dedication of the teammates I had was unparalleled, and I look back at that time as the hardest and some of the best times of my career. In the past few minutes, I went over the team performance concepts, the leadership and management skills, the team diversity, and the project management concepts that were applied to make this endeavor a successful one. The AC-130J was the best lesson I ever had in my Air Force career. It was the turning point in my career when I shifted from airman to leader. I accomplished many things, but the most important accomplishment to me was the refocus I had on the team and the realization that I was a part of the project, not that the project was all about me. My team went on to win Aircrew Flight Equipment Small Program of the Year from between years 2014 and 2019. 5-time champs, and we did it together. Thank you very much.